We're a little bit late by 1 minute, but this, the Hardin County Board of Elections meeting is formally called open at 5:01 p.m. And we will start with, moment of silence, followed by the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, before we move into the public comment, I'm going to call Mr. Bell. He's not feeling well today, so he's going to join on via telephone.
Okay, that's fine.
If I can work this.
The number you are calling from has been reported as spam. If you believe this is incorrect, please dial 1 to report the issue and visit freecallerregistry.com to register.
Everybody heard that, right?
I don't know.
893, all spam.
That's
It's from government, so.
Big brother is calling.
That's
me.
funny, it is.
Our phones got all short of spam, came up and waves for our calls.
Especially if it says tax department.
The number you are calling from has been reported as spam.
Maxwell, Mass.
Yeah.
That's the call line show.
Hey, so I can't call you on the speaker, but I need you to call the number here. I need you to call the number that's here. You got a pencil and pen?
Yeah, I can do that for you. I don't want to take the chickens on that one, just like the potato side of mine.
It's 910-814-6087. Yes, all right, thank you. Hello?
Okay, I'm here.
All right, you're on speaker. All right, now.
Okay. Can everybody hear me well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. And I can hear everybody as well.
All right,
Okay.
so now.
You sound better already, Louis.
What's that?
Sound better already.
I get, I'm getting ready. What's that?
Never mind. The year is not up to par though. All right, so, we're now open for public comment.
Alright, so public comment periods will be held at the beginning of the scheduled meeting and limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. Each person desiring to speak shall clearly state their name and will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make his or her remarks. A speaker may not speak more than once during the same public comment period, and unused time may not be yielded to another speaker. To avoid repetition, groups of individuals who expect to have the same or similar comments are encouraged to select a spokesperson to speak on their behalf. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. The The board should refrain from engaging in dialogue, except to the extent necessary to clarify the speaker's position. The board shall not entertain questions from the audience, and discussions between speakers and members of the audience shall be prohibited. Speakers shall maintain proper decorum and shall make their comments in a civil manner. Personal attacks and use of obscene and profane language are prohibited. Speaker comments should be limited to subjects that are within the board's jurisdiction. Action on items brought up during public comment period will be at the discretion of the board.
Don't all run up to this, mic at one time, we're open. No? No takers? Wow. All right, moving on.
All right, so everybody has before them the copy of the minutes from February 4th and the February 18th special meeting. If you need a minute to review them, you may do so. Once you're satisfied, a motion to approve would be in order.
Do you want both?
Yeah, you can do both if you're okay with both.
I move that the February 4th and February 18th minutes be approved as presented.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
These are the two to be signed.
That might be a challenge for me.
We can hear you, Mr. Bell.
I'm sorry, say it again?
No moaning.
I heard,
You might want to put yourself on mute unless you're talking to us. What?
I'm sorry, I was talking to myself, okay, yeah. Okay, hang on a second.
Alright, so now we're on to business. We have a couple of resolutions, Craig, one.
Yes, so, working with Allison to discuss the resolution that was mentioned during the last, special meeting. Make sure I got my papers here. In looking at the resolution, we felt that the second one from the meeting, the special meeting, was more applicable to the situation, but Ms. Fenderson felt like a cover letter would help cover some of those other things in the other resolution. So she did draft a cover letter, which is what you have before you, labeled number 1. And then I know Mr. Curran called with a few minor edits, Betsy had some edits, and so that is version 2 before you as well. So in talking with Allison just before the meeting on version 2, she would like to correct, after the third paragraph, the correct board is missing an R. And then at the bottom, adding another bullet that basically says that anytime a polling place is moved, you lose 7% of the votes, which could equate to voter suppression. So that is an edit to version 2 that was discussed. So if you have any questions or if you need to expand on anything, now would be the time to voice your thoughts.
I have some questions.
Okay.
I'd like to ask the Board of Education had a meeting last night, and I heard, although I wasn't there, that they passed their resolution, but it was an amended resolution. Is that correct information?
From my understanding, what they passed was the same resolution that the commissioners
So
passed.
there were no amendments?
There were no amendments to it.
Okay.
Do we have a copy of what they signed?
Yeah, I think I emailed it to you.
Doing my day job.
Yeah.
That's it. Is what you had labeled number 2 our rewrite of number 1?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
While you guys are reviewing that, I'll see if I can get this to print.
Pull it up.
I've got a copy of it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are we satisfied that there were no changes? That's all the question.
Yeah, there were no changes. That's just the.
I don't have to see it, I don't have the original to prepare. I'll take your word.
That's it. That's the original.
This was the original. On the redraft, either 1 or 2, I didn't compare it line for line, but it seems there's no substantial change in it. It's just a format change.
Just kind of how it's worded.
And, pardon me?
Kind of how it's worded.
Yeah, and to me, as long as the messages are,
That's the one, is that the one
Oh,
that you need?
yeah.
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does
Anybody else need a copy?
I just want to, like him, make sure that.
Yeah.
And of course,
She wants to.
the format seems a little unique.
Here you go.
There's a letter
Allison, she
with a
printed one for you.
response. And I want to somehow be assured that they won't get separated in our submissions. I would expect to have seen the letter in something like a forward before the resolution, but I'm happy with the modifications, either 1 or 2. It says basically what we want to say, and I like
So that's why
the additional. I like the additional information in the letter, because that was things that have happened over this last month between the meeting, and that's a good thing. Those are very logical and accurate representations.
I'm fine with number 2 with the modifications that Allison made, so there would make a motion that we do number 2.
Now, if I understand,
Sorry, go ahead, do it.
yeah, if I understand, number 2 is the one that's marked number 2.
Yeah, I just wanna put back in there about once you start fiddling with, voting locations, you do lose a 7%.
Oh, yeah, that's what was included in this. And,
Well, it wasn't in there, so we added that.
and then do I
Minus
understand,
the gym voting.
do I understand that this is the actual resolution that we're putting in? And this is the attached letter? Is that
Correct. Correct.
Can we put number 3 before, because that's why I wanted it, 1, 2, and maybe I didn't make it clear in the email that the resolution is a part of it, like number 3, because I have a feeling like it'll get a little bit.
Oh, well, I only have them labeled 1 and 2 because of these being
I
different
know, I'm talking about
versions.
page.
Oh, yeah, we can update the page numbers.
So then, with that, the response to the joint resolution is the title for the first page, it would be. And then the second would be the letter that's been referred to, is that correct?
Or the other way.
Yeah, the cover letter would be first, and then the resolution would come behind it.
Oh, I see, okay.
The joint resolution has no page 1 or 2 except the typo. It doesn't have it in
But
red.
she's
does it?
gonna,
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah,
there-
the joint resolution has our names on it, the cover letter has.
Okay.
doesn't it?
yeah, and that's why I'm concerned about submitting it this way. Can we make it, can we attach it, so at least in our submission, it won't be, one won't be overlooked, or this is what it is?
or add the names to the second letter.
Some way to designate that it's a four-page document.
Maybe we could do one of, have one of.
At the bottom.
so where is this going?
It is my understanding that this will go not just to for us and the party chairs, it's going to the commissioners, the Board of Education, Senator Bergen, Representative Pike, and Hetty.
Okay, so couldn't we just include the cover letter with the resolution?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there's a typo on the
Yeah,
first
she
page.
got
Okay,
Yeah.
got it, okay.
The Board of Election
Board,
members.
yes.
Yeah.
I didn't have my red pen.
So you need a red pen?
Oh, Lord, now he wakes up.
Don't we have a motion?
On autos.
Not yet, I don't think.
Somebody said they need a red pen?
She didn't finish the motion.
yet, we're still.
I thought Betsy made a motion.
Betsy, did you make a motion?
Yeah, mine was the letter that's marked number 2 with the changes that Allison wanted, along with what we marked as 3, I guess, that has all our names on it, that be our response to the joint resolution that was passed by the commissioners and the Board of Education.
And for clarification, it will be together, it'll be numbered 1 through 4. So it'll be a complete document, the letter and the response.
All 4 pages will be sent to the proper people.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's
So
what
with
she
that
told me.
modification, I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Bye.
Will we be signing this resolution today?
That's my vote.
Yes,
Okay,
so,
okay.
That's what, I think that's what she's up there.
I was gonna try to see if I can get the page numbers on there first before you sign this copy I have. But now my internet's not gonna work.
Do you want to connect to my hotspot?
No, because I have to connect to the Wi-Fi in here, and that's what's not working. For whatever reason. Because it just worked.
you doing something now?
I was trying to reset it.
We do. That's why I texted.
I am not an Apple girl. We'll just leave it at that.
Good, is that an Apple, like a laptop? I guess
Yeah.
it's an iPhone. It's not bad.
I have it.
Can Shannon do that and move on?
So what I have to do is hook up to the Wi-Fi here. It says it's hooked up, but then for whatever reason, it won't let me print. And if she can't get it, then I'll pull my laptop out and see if I can do it on my laptop.
Okay.
Alright, so then the next topic is the merge and split of precincts. So everybody, all the board members at some point or another attended all the public input sessions, so you were able to hear the public's thoughts on a lot of things. So what I did do, based on some of those comments, it seemed like a lot of people were not really on board with merging, but it was pretty unanimous across the county that something had to be done with the western part of the county because of the fact that it is so big and splitting that up. So we can certainly look at the plans that were discussed and that we have already put out there, but just for the sake of looking at it, I did have Seth, and he may come up here and help drive my laptop too, just to see what would happen if we didn't change anything else except for Anderson Creek and barbecue. And so that's what we have, the large map. I don't know where she put it. And I'll get it up on the share screen too, and then here's some handouts. You do have in front of you a copy of the comments that were on the online survey. But most of those comments pretty much reflect everything that was mentioned at the input sessions.
I know. She hasn't given us permission to look at it yet.
Yeah, you can look at it.
You can turn your test over.
Or Eric's at. Oh, that's it. It's on there too. Yeah, the Harnett County logo's got cut off of that.
Excuse me, Madam Chair?
Yes.
I have a question. On the last motion, did it pass?
Yes,
Okay,
it did.
alright.
Worst case scenario, I'll mess with this and I'll get you guys to sign it in the next day or so, if we don't get that
Okay.
to work just right, and I'll have you guys sign it. because I may have to pull my laptop back out and do it from there. But anyway, so yes, the comments pretty much mirror what we saw at the input sessions. So I did want to say, okay, well, let's reset the map and just focus on the western part of the county. So this new map you have before you basically resets Stewart's Creek back the way. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I already gave one to everybody. I just skipped you. Betsy didn't need one. So it brings Stewart's Creek back to its original line, because by not merging Neals Creek and Willington, not merging East and West Davisboro, we're not going to get that 8,000 number to equate all the precincts anyway. So Stewart's Creek, we could still do the original plan, merge part of Anderson Creek in there and bump those numbers up. Or I wanted to just see what the map looked like if we just came down and made a new precinct in Anderson Creek. And so, as you can see, Anderson Creek and Barbecue are about the same situation-wise, where all of their population's kind of in one area of that precinct. So we can bring that Anderson Creek number down by splitting that in half. It's not going to be like an even number from the north to the south, unless we take this bottom corner here and maybe move it all to 210 and create a really small precinct. But Seth helped do what, run the numbers and stuff. Did you have the map on?
I have an email to you.
Okay.
If you're gonna create a new precinct in Anderson Creek, you probably need to hold a hearing like we did for the others. If you're gonna, that would be just indigenous to Anderson Creek.
So that is something that the board can do, is have another input meeting. But I think that even at all the other input meetings, everybody was pretty much in agreement that something needed to be done with the western part of the county.
Yeah, but most of that was coming from the eastern part of the county. Everybody became not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Do it for somebody else, but not me.
But that's definitely something the board can do, is have another session to discuss Anderson Creek.
I'm just saying,
Or if you don't like this, we can just go back to the first plan. I just wanted you to have another option that wasn't as big of a change countywide. So you can take this and just say, you know, whatever with it, but I just wanted to have another option out there for discussion.
I think we should just create a new precinct in Barbecue and leave the rest of it alone. And if you want that in a motion, I'll make it.
So, this is what I'm thinking, is, I think that if we could have all of the municipality of Lillington in the Lillington precinct, that would be a good thing. And so, it's very weird, there's like this one little spot that's right here that is in Lillington, but if we pulled this purple one down, and then pulled the purple down through the green along 210, that's what I would do.
But you won't be creating a new precinct.
No, I would just be moving these. I want to get all of the town of Lillington into
So we don't
one
have to have
precinct.
3 polling sites municipal.
Right.
Okay.
And so that would just be pulling it down here, because I think it's like right here.
Yeah, it's the Vandercroft area, and I think we can kind of.
Is that part, Claire, is that a satellite annexation?
Yes.
It is.
Yes. So where you're looking at right here, and in this neighborhood, right in the center, that is a Vandercroft neighborhood, and that is the only city limits area of the county, incorporated area south of contiguous Lillington.
Yeah.
So that one little neighborhood is your
So
only.
currently, that neighborhood is in Anderson Creek. With the split, the way we have been discussing it, it's been moved to Stewart's Creek. And we've certainly looked at some lines we can use to come down and bring that into the Lillington precinct. I think you were coming down, was it Loop Road or something?
I had this, and if I can this change back to the
And how many voters is that, like, in there? Just a couple hundred?
A couple hundred.
in this
Yeah.
area west of 210, right here around Loop Road, where we're looking at here, very low population density, maybe, and I mean maybe a couple of hundred. Vandercroft has a much higher population than any of that western area does.
So is the loop road is not incorporated in Lillington?
No.
That is
It's only
only
to the right of 210.
Yes.
And it is only inside of this neighborhood. No other areas are incorporated.
But again, we have to make sure we're mindful of the census block, so.
But, yeah, I would pull that whole thing down so that we don't have this
Yeah.
weird like hand.
Because we don't have the street names on there, but I think that's what he had us going down 210 past the Vandercroft and then across and then back up is what we were looking at with that.
So Vandercroft will be in Lillington precinct if that's what we're discussing.
Now we want to look at the other plan that we had for bringing Vandercroft into the central part of Lillington precinct. The lines that she was discussing was down here along Temple Road. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Thompson Road to McNeil Hobbs, and then it would follow McNeil Hobbs until right about here in this bend, where we have a census block that follows a water line feature that we can now go back and hook into the current precinct boundaries. But this would be the boundary that we could do in that situation, that scenario.
So it
Is
takes
that-
it mostly out of Stewart's Creek.
Yeah, it would take it out.
And then could we pull the split one, this part down here to the edge of the county? You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many people are in that
Yeah, we
area.
can certainly go back to, like I said, I just wanted you guys to see this and have another option. We can certainly go back to, was that it?
And that would take some out of the 9,356.
Yes.
Right.
Not much, because in this plan, Vandercroft is in Stewart's Creek, so it would make Stewart's Creek's number come down about 200. Not a substantial number, but it would bring their numbers back down. Because in this split, Vandercroft went from Anderson Creek to Stewart's Creek.
Okay, I mean,
But it's something we could certainly do, and then that way, for municipals, we wouldn't have to open up that other precinct.
plus I just think the average voter, if you live in Lillington, you think you vote in Lillington kind of thing. So that's my only thought on that.
But just a clarification, if we merge that into Wellington, are you still wanting to merge Mills Creek and Wellington or keep them separate?
No.
Okay.
That would be the only, like, I would just change the border of the central Lillington to include the part that's been annexed. And I would just move that purple part down just to even,
Purple part down.
yeah, to even up this a little bit more.
Okay, so you like keeping Stewart's Creek the way it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right there, this is where the Lillington is, so I would, did you, what he was saying was it would come like this, like along in here. Lillington would be down a little bit farther.
And then adjust.
So she wants to split, keep,
Yes, this would go down.
Betsy, are you suggesting that
So
piece
just
that
west,
come down
everything west of
to
yeah, would be.
Fire
But then
Lane Road
taking this part
and be
here.
a horizontal cross? Come down that far?
It's what Seth just showed us on here. It's
Coming down to
Is it
10.
Fire Lane Road? Yes, I think it is Fire Lane.
210 Fire Lane to McNeil Hobbs.
Yes, that would be, it was the road just north of Fire Lane. I don't have a,
Yeah,
what was that?
you don't know the name of that, yeah.
Is this the website? Okay. I think on the website when you can zoom into it.
So Fire
This is still
Lane Road
following
would be
all
the southern
lines.
boundary of that precinct, Betsy.
Yeah, I think it's the road above it is
So Hamilton,
Hamilton Road.
Hamilton Road.
Hamilton?
yes, down 210 to Hamilton. Up Thompson to McNeil Hobbs. So in summary, what I'm hearing is we're not merging Amesboro.
Wait,
Not
I
merging.
got a comment.
Okay, let me summarize, then we can edit the summarization. So not merging the Amesboroughs, not merging Neal's Creek, and Lillington, but pulling the Vanderpump into Lillington, keeping Stewart's Creek expanded to 210, making Anderson Creek the 9,000. Oh wait. We're leaving Stewart's Creek alone. See, this is why I need to summarize. So we're leaving Stewart's Creek alone. We're going to take that Vandercroft moving into Lillington. Go with the purple here.
Send down.
Extend the purple down 210 to the north side to help make that new precinct Anderson Creek less than the 9,000.
How far down are you dragging?
To the southern border.
Okay.
And then we'll have the barbecue precinct split, and then we still have that correction in Johnsonville where we're just taking that little, we're just correcting that little triangle there that's splitting neighborhoods. So that's kind of the gist of what I'm hearing, so go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, in Dunn, we have 2 spots there, and you happen to have the numbers of those 2 places for east and west? Everywhere?
Yes, for Amesboro, so this is a combined version of Amesboro.
It still has a split. So west Amesboro is 5,000, east is 3,600. So combined it makes it 8,711.
Okay, so west is 5,000, east is 3,000.
36.
36, okay. All right, just some observations from what went on. It was mentioned during the meeting that if we considered costs involved, and of course that's an important factor, there's no doubt, and if we're talking about a big savings by combining those 2, I think we have to give that consideration. I know that they're against putting it together, but the community center that we had our meeting at was an ideal location. It had certainly enough room for voting and all the needs that we have, plus there was indoor facilities, and there was adequate parking if we just directed it properly. So I guess my point is that's a good location to have the voting. I didn't see or know where the other one was. I don't remember seeing that. But that, I think, I'd like to know the costs involved. And of course, we would be, if we combine it, we would have a larger number of workers available, and assistants and judges, and a reduced number of equipment. And I'd like to put that into the decision that we're going to be making before I just say yes or no.
Yeah. Well, I will say that each early voting site, I think I have it in here. Each early voting site I think each early voting site is about $4,000. So by combining them, you save about $4,000 in
Election day,
election day. Yeah.
not early voting.
No, not early voting.
Early
That's-
voting's a lot.
That's a whole nother beast. But at the same time, even though you will have that savings, we do have to make sure that that other site will be larger. So we want to make sure they have plenty of laptops, plenty of workers. So I would say it kind of equals itself out when it's just one site. If it was more than one, you could probably see more of a savings. But it pretty much, I would say, balances itself out.
Okay, that $4,000 figure you said was limited to election day.
Election day,
What, for that, not that location, but for our early voting sites, can you give an average of the cost of that?
I think each early voting site, and I hate that I don't have it in here because I thought I had it written down here, but each early voting site, I want to say was close to like 40,000. Because I had that, I was looking at that number for budgeting, for the budgeting coming, actually, you know what?
You told it to me at one point, but I forget.
I do have it. I lied. So for early voting, so staffing one site is about $4,000. So that is correct. For early voting,
Yeah, what you told me before was election day was 3,500 and early voting was 40.
40,000. Okay. So see, I was close to my memory.
So 40,000 is for the
Yeah.
17 days that we have.
Correct.
Okay, and we currently have that 4 locations.
We currently have 4 locations, that again will be a discussion we'll have when we start talking about budget, because I know it was mentioned possibly opening a 5th location for
Yeah.
early voting.
But is that going to be part of this decision?
The early voting hours and locations is not necessarily part of this decision right now. This is just election day precincts and voting.
Okay. Okay, well, I don't want to rain on that parade, but if you put it together, we're talking about the same numbers that we have in several precincts on the west side, correct?
Yeah. And I would like to add that it would help with staffing because East Statesboro specifically, we had an issue with staffing. And it was really hard to balance out the parties in that area as well. So that was one of the positives to possibly merging them together.
Well, before we vote on it, I'd like to have a more in-depth discussion on it.
Okay.
Good.
So the only difference, summary-wise, is that some of the boards good with leaving them separate and maybe possibly merging at East Statesboro. But you're good with everything else that we discussed with the other side?
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds reasonable.
Does anybody else have a thought about the Amesboro precinct?
I would not be in favor of combining them this go around. I think we're gonna have enough on our plate with the changes that we're making. I think the community made it clear that they were very much against it. And I just think that we'll have a lot of very upset people if we try to combine those.
Have a lot of what?
This very upset people
Yes, I
if we
agree.
try
But I
to
think it's something
combine
we need to look to the future of.
Correct, but I think this is a really big change in the western part, and so why don't we do this, get this under our belt, and then we can look at combining some more things. But I'm not sure how comfortable I feel with like throwing everything up in the air. Let's get let's get the western part worked out and kind of get that going, and then we can revisit the combining. Because at some point we might want to do the Central Harnett. Like I don't think we can combine East and West Aversboro and not combine the Central Harnett. And I don't think that that's a good idea. I think you're right about the numbers and everything, but I think politically, I don't think it's a good idea.
Can you put that in a motion? I mean, motion, but yeah, with the
What my proposal would be? My proposal would be basically Claire's summary, the pull down Central Harnett to include Vandercroft with whatever the streets those were. Pull down the purple area down along 210 to the southern border of the county. And leave all the other, not do any of the combining, not combine Central Harnett, not combine the Aversboro.
And split.
And split barbecue. to the way it's shown here.
And then for making that correction in Johnsonville.
Yes. That would be my motion, if you understand that.
Could you possibly put in there, the reason we did that part was so the municipals would be.
Yes,
Yeah, if you
yeah.
could put that in the motion, I think that would help.
Okay. I don't know, maybe.
All right, so I'm gonna try since I was half jotting it down, and then maybe she's gonna help me out with the writing. So the motion is to pull the Central Heart Lillington precinct down to include the Vandercroft housing area.
Maybe to include all of the incorporated areas of Lillington instead of just saying Vandercroft.
Okay, so we're gonna pull down the Central Heart Lillington precinct line to include all municipals, Lillington municipality south of their border. Pull down the purple section of Anderson Creek down 210 to the southern border, splitting Anderson Creek into 2 precincts. Splitting the barbecue precinct as presented, and then making that correction in Johnsonville to fix that whole border.
Now, this splitting of the Anderson Creek and barbecue is based upon the numbers. I'm not following where the split is going to be, I guess is the question.
Yeah.
Now, the proposed split that we're talking about, so the only difference that you would see from where you're looking at now would be up here in this top right-hand corner, Vandercroft. This would become absorbed by Central Heart and Lillington in the incorporated area of Lillington. Down this way, you're running down Lemuel Black Road to the north of Anderson Creek Club, down following the census block boundary to Bill Shaw Road, which takes you to 210. Right now, it runs down Overhills Road. There's no label for it, but this is Overhills Road over to Elliott Bridge Road. The only change would be this area now, east of 210, all the way down to the Cumberland County line, would also be included in this purple area. Anderson Creek, south of Lemuel Black Road, Bill Shaw Road, and west of NC 210, all the way to the precinct line would become its own precinct.
Good, thank you.
So we are, excuse me,
Go ahead.
we are splitting Anderson Creek.
Yes.
And barbecue.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're splitting Anderson Creek, splitting barbecue, making that correction in Johnsonville, and then moving that municipality into the Lillington precinct.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
We
Oh, sorry.
have more discussion.
Yeah, we can discuss.
Is there
Did we discuss?
Did you have any more discussion?
any more discussion?
No, I'm
That's what I was.
Yeah, I think it's a good split and it makes sense. And it might help alleviate our issues.
And can you make changes and put it on the website so
Yes.
that the community?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can have that done.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And now, for some.
And what we'll do is we'll finalize the whole map so that it's all out there, even what we're not, like the Ames boroughs, putting them back the way they were, putting those numbers back in there so that it looks exactly how it's gonna look.
And clarification, this motion is to support what we've discussed tonight. It's not something that's in stone, because I thought we were going to have an additional meeting in the Anderson Creek area. Are we going to do that or not?
It was discussed, but there was no motion made to have an additional input.
I mean, to be fair, we did it for the others.
I mean, that's to the board, that's fine.
I know that I mentioned that, but the longer we put it off,
Right,
I mean, that's, the immediacy is.
If you want to open the floor to maybe the party chairs, I think the party chairs are here, they may have a comment to it, especially I think because Dana is from Anderson Creek.
I'm fine.
I mean, that's up to the board.
I'm fine with it.
Dan, you want, or actually, if anybody really wants to make a comment, I'd be fine with anybody.
The only things that I was thinking as we were talking about it is that if we weren't combining East and West Aversboro, then we don't have that equipment to put into a different precinct. So I'm not sure like what the equipment needs would be, and if we'd have costs incurred with that. And then the other question I had was, when you were talking about the cost per site, was that per election? So it would be not the annual fee. So instead of being $4,000 for a precinct, we're talking $8,000 per year, and we're talking $80,000 for early voting sites because we're doing 2
Yeah,
elections
that
per
is
year.
per site per election.
So that changes the budget there,
Yeah.
doubles it.
And I will say that so this would essentially make us go from 13 to 15 precincts, and we do have enough voting machines and equipment to cover that. We will have to get a few more laptops, and then of course recruiting poll workers, but it's not that's always a problem, recruiting poll workers.
So I want to address your comment about Aversboro. It's not a bad idea. However, we did receive a lot of pushback on it. So that would be the board's call, but it's not a bad idea, but it goes also to Betsy's, that if you combine Aversboro, you'll need to combine Central Lillington and Neal's Creek. So just saying that. Dana's question about costs is obviously a good one, just a thorough review of what that might look like upon your final proposed decision so that you know that. And do you feel like the Anderson Creek was given apt comment period to have split when you met at barbecue, or would you be meeting in Anderson Creek?
If the board wanted to do that, we would probably pick a location in Anderson Creek.
Okay, all right. No other comment, thank you.
I just have one question. If you bring the purple down in the proposed, that we're proposing, and you bring it down to that southern border, does anybody have an idea what the population is on that section?
In that area, you're going to
Yeah.
be looking at roughly 1,500 to maybe 2,000 extra voters in that area.
So that small area is, okay.
Yes, and down here is
Yeah.
where you're
Yeah.
referring to.
Yep, yep.
Yes, that's about 1,500 to
So that could bring that
2,000
other part
roughly.
to around 7 then.
Yes, roughly, right in that neighborhood, yes.
That's the only thing I would worry about, like everybody's talking about combining, and I see the financial benefits of Everettsboro, East Everettsboro, combining them. Financially, it makes sense. My only concern is, what is and I don't live out there, but is the population going to change? Because if we're, they're north of like 8,000, is this going to be 5-10 years down the line and they have suddenly you're at 10 to 12 and you were having the same problem you just had at Anderson Creek, and then you have to go ahead and split it again.
Are you talking about Aversboro, or are you talking about Anderson Creek?
No, Aversboro.
Okay.
I was just talking about Aversboro when we were thinking about it. Because that's really the problem. Anderson Creek is it's got so big that it's really hard for voters, and I would hate to create that problem in East Aversboro, what we just had, we had to get rid of in Anderson Creek and Barbecue. But I don't know what the expansion is of, what population change is going to be in East Aversboro either.
And population change, trying to predict future population change is a little bit of a tricky business. And I know there was a question the last meeting about using development numbers, and those aren't really great to use for like civic applications just because of the uncertainty of the future with those especially. One resource I can give you is, at least this is current census blocks by population density, which in those areas, I know this does not have the population counts or the precinct boundaries overlaid on it. But here, at least in this area roughly, is where we would be pulling that purple area down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the difference between here and actual Anderson Creek is staggering. So that's your area where you're looking at.
Yeah. And that's what I was just, because like I said, I don't live in Aversboro, I've never gone over there, I don't know what their expansion looks like, but I do know in Anderson Creek, we have so many people there that, yeah, we definitely need to, break that up. And I just would hate to create a problem down the line for Aversboro, BC.
For the last 20 years, for however long I've lived here, that's where the growth has all been in the western part of the
Okay.
county. There has not been a lot of growth.
Hasn't had seen it over time.
Yeah.
Historically, your areas beyond the western part of the county usually stick between the triangle between like here, Anger, and Fuquay-Varina here in the northern part of the county. Aversboro has been slower to grow, but it is still growing, just not at the extremely rapid pace that we see elsewhere.
Just as a point of information, what's the physical distance between the two existing polling places right now?
Which one?
For Aversboro, it is not very far, maybe a couple of miles. Because right here, these two dots, I know they're a little bit hard to see, and the label doesn't pop up on an iPad, but this is your Dunn Community Building right now for East Aversboro, and this is Dunn Elementary School, which is for West Aversboro.
Part
The
of
difference between those is not very far. With traffic, it's maybe a 5-minute drive.
Part of the problem that a couple of people talked about when we had our meeting was the train goes through there. And sometimes the train stops
It does.
for a long time. So if everybody's having to go to one, and the train, I think is it that white line?
Yeah, the white one.
This is actually the precinct division is along the train.
Yeah, so if somebody's having to go, that sometimes can be a big problem in Dunn. That's why I just feel like people were so upset about that. I don't know that I think we've got a big change going on here. I don't know that we need to mess with this in addition to all of this. That's just my thinking about it.
Those yellow lines there are where the 5 precincts used to be in Dunn.
Yeah.
These yellow lines here,
Yeah.
these are
421 in Broad Street made a quadrant, and then Friendly Road was the 5th one.
So
Yeah.
these
Aversboro
these are different highways than
Right.
those. This is 421 Cumberland Street, 301 Clinton Avenue, Granville Avenue, and then it comes out to Ellis Avenue going north.
Yeah, but back before,
That's-
2008, it
Right.
was 5 precincts in Aversboro, and then we combined down to 2 precincts. And Irwin was 3 precincts. And they got much more.
Well, I think generally, we've talked about addressing this issue in earlier intervals than 13 years.
Yes, I
So
think,
if we keep our eye on both of these, and also Northwest, it might be something that we do 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road. And this is the first bite of the apple. This might be good.
yeah, because there's pros and cons to doing like all the changes at once versus let's take little bites of it and do little changes as the years go on. But I definitely think, and I've mentioned in all the input sessions, that it's something that we need to stay on top of. We don't need to wait another 10 plus years
And I
to look
agree
at
with
this.
that. The issues we're addressing now, and you always come back and take a look and see. The neighborhoods that we visited, all of them were pretty impactful in their statements where they wanted to land, with none more than that first.
Yeah.
Now, if they have growth, we revisit it. Right now, it's not an issue within their communities. So I think the ones that it is, that's where we focus. And get people acclimated to that. And then as we need to see fit to change.
Yes.
Of course, another observation is one is a community building and the other is a school, correct?
It is a school, so it was the elementary school, and I think the Dunn Early College may have taken it over now. So I'm not as familiar with their student population, if it's younger, older, or what. But it is still a school,
Yeah.
yes.
So that might become an issue at some point.
Could I just ask as a matter of curiosity, Anderson Creek here,
You want to
is
stand
there
up,
a
Michelle?
proposed site for the new Anderson Creek precinct voting site?
I think in the split, I may have to double check and look, but I think that's where the emergency services is down in that new precinct. So, Anderson Creek Primary School would be in the north, and then the Anderson Creek Emergency Services would be in the south.
But if I lived on the Cumberland County line there,
On which side do you
east of
take?
210,
You
which
would
is
go
now
to-
you're proposing to bring down into the new Anderson Creek, right? If I lived down there and I had to go way up to vote, instead of just over to Anderson, the other Anderson Creek now, that might be an issue for some of those people. Would it be possible to bring the purple more evenly down and across?
That's a possibility. The reason for coming all the way down is because that's how we're gonna move the numbers. But today, the people who are living on the border are already going to the Anderson Creek Primary School now. So it wouldn't be a
Which
change
is
for them.
up there.
Yeah,
No,
there,
all of this right now.
goes up there. They all travel now anyway to go to that precinct.
And the Anderson Creek Primary
it's
School
not
is gonna be
there.
located right here.
But the new one will be located where the new people will vote, will be where? He just pointed to.
Yeah, that's
Right there.
Right there.
Anderson Creek Primary School.
Okay, so that's pretty central then.
Yeah,
Okay.
So they're already voting there.
They're already voting
there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and then the new one is further south.
Which would be located right about here. And that's Anderson Creek Emergency Services.
That's not that bad, there's.
So are we gonna have a public hearing for the voters of Anderson Creek?
Should we vote on my motion first and then decide whether we want to have any public hearings?
If we vote to do it, there's no point in having a public hearing because we've already made a decision.
Good point. This is.
And I want to get it finished too.
Yes.
But I just don't see how we could have held them in the other places and these citizens not have an option if we're
Yeah,
splitting the
and of
precinct.
course, the location, the new location, I think, has anybody seen it? Is it adequate? Is there space for parking?
It's a brand new fire department, so it is a new, good size fire department. But I've not been
What
in
road
the
is it
actual.
on?
It's on, I believe,
27?
Overhills Road.
Overhills, yeah.
It's right by that food line by the
That's
intersection with
Overhills,
Ray
between
Road.
Overhills and Ray Road right in there.
My only concern with that is.
Where the McDonald's in that area is.
Yeah, so
Parking could be
between
very-
that with all of our fire departments is parking.
Yeah.
Which is why we like our schools.
So why don't I amend my motion to this being our new proposed precinct map, what Claire said before, we'll have a public comment period and then make a final decision at our next meeting.
If you want, you can just edit your motion instead of saying to change, say to make it your proposal.
Could we,
That's fine.
could we possibly come back in a couple of weeks and just meeting and make that germane to what we were, just to get it in on paper and move? Just a
Special
short meeting.
meeting.
I don't understand what you're
I'm saying, come back in 2 weeks and your motion, when would we hold a public hearing?
So we would have to reach out to, so let me ask you first, would you want to have the public hearing at the school, or would you be okay with doing it at the emergency services department?
You would
Because
make-
that's gonna make the biggest difference in scheduling. Because we could probably schedule the fire department a lot faster than we can the school.
Let's do that then.
Okay, so if we can do that, then I think we could probably, I would say give at least 2 weeks' notice. So the rest of this week, next week, and then maybe doing it on Tuesday the 18th or sometime that week. And then if you want to have a special meeting, we could do it later that week, the following week, or just wait until April, because that's just 2 more weeks away.
Let's go ahead.
Could we have the meeting after our public hearing.
That's what I would like to, because I think we need to get this done.
So we can advertise the public input session, and then I can advertise a special meeting at the Emergency Services Department.
Okay.
So, so 2 weeks from now would be March 18th.
Could I recommend that you consider, if we aren't getting out of schools on election day, that Overhill's elementary, middle, or high school might be a better place than the fire station, as far as having awnings and parking and.
Overhills is gonna be all these times.
Okay.
And we're looking here on Ray Road.
Yeah, I'm zooming in forward. So those dots are,
Yeah, I would like to keep that discussion separate from these lines, like I think that's like another
That's
bullet.
fine, I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Okay, we got that.
if nothing else, we can do the public input at the emergency services so that you guys can see the facility.
Right, that's a
You
good
can see it
idea.
firsthand.
Yeah.
So I'll advertise it for public input and then also for the board meeting afterwards. So we're going to amend your motion to make it a proposal.
Make it a proposal.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Mr. Kearney, still second.
It has been seconded, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Kearney, second.
Call the question.
Point of clarification here.
Yes.
If we amend those, are we gonna have any more meetings to present that, or we're just gonna
Yes.
say that this is it?
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about, having a special meeting on March, what did I say, 18th? March 18th at the Anderson Creek Emergency Services Department. And that way, at that meeting, we can get the public input and then move into a special meeting right afterwards and make a decision.
Oh, okay.
And I'll send that email, information to you via email.
Okay.
Are you going to get input from barbecue, splitting that too?
Yeah, we've already been to barbecue.
Okay.
This is not only one. You ready? Yeah, let's, yes.
All in favor? Okay.
We don't have to repeat all of that,
No,
right?
no.
Just if you're in favor, just.
So is everyone in favor of whatever Claire? All in favor say.
She's got it. Any opposed?
The ayes have it.
Alright, so we are done with that time. Alright, so then the next item. Thank you, Seth, for driving my laptop. And then, like I said, Seth will update those and put it on the website. And we're gonna leave the public comment thing open until we're done, so we can still keep getting comments throughout this time period as well. Alright, so the next item I have is,
Just, did we have the input of the people?
yeah, you have it for you.
Should be.
Yeah, it's that. She didn't hand it out. And I said that it pretty much mirrors what was said at the public comment periods. So I think a lot of people came to the input meetings and then went right online and said the same thing, because you can kind of tell which meeting the comment came from. Which is why we have it that way. All right, so the next item is the budget. All right, Mr. Bell, I'm gonna try to talk loud, so let me know if you can't hear me.
Okay.
All right. And I'll send this to you via email as well, Mr. Bell. So I've given you guys just a kind of an outline of the budget that I was putting into request, but I'll just kind of summarize a few things. So for this next fiscal year, we have to budget for our October election for Irwin. our November election for Andrew Coates Willington, and possible second election, runoff election for Irwin. We have our March primary, as well as a possible second primary that we have to budget for. So there are two lines. There's a contingency and a continuation. So some things that are not necessarily set in stone, the county will move to contingency. So it's money that we have, but you just don't see it in our upfront budget. So for like second primaries, recounts, things that are possible to come up but may not actually happen, we still budget for those. We just don't see that money up front until that event occurs, and then they move that money into our budget. So that is why there's a contingency as well as a continuation line. I've budgeted for everybody to attend a state board trainings. I have increased postage for precinct changes. I've also increased the budget line for advertising. Although we did not express interest in doing an expo with this fiscal year because we typically did that before the general election, I still left money in there for a possible expo, or maybe even like an outreach event to help explain some of these precinct changes that we have going on. I don't have it on here yet, but I have reached out to some other counties that also budget money for the expense of an attorney. So in the event that we do have an issue come up, like we did with this resolution, or if we have a protest or something, and we can't use the county attorney, we have money in a line so that we can get an attorney on our own. Lee County was one that they do have like a retainer on an attorney, and they only pay them like as it's needed. It's not something they have to pay year-round for this person. And I think she helped them with the last protest, and it was about $5,000. So I'm kind of getting some money in there to make sure that if something comes up, the board does have those funds to do their own attorney as opposed to.
Is that shown on here somewhere?
That is not on there yet because I don't have a budget line for it yet.
Okay.
So they have to get the county to add the budget line to put the money in.
Yeah, I think that because of our recent experiences, I think it's necessary that we have legal counsel at our service, other than the county attorney. I believe it was a conflict of interest.
It was.
And I don't want to be in that position again.
You can't serve two masters.
Pardon?
You can't serve two masters.
Yeah, right. Especially on the same issue. And I think it's important. The decisions that we make are just as important as any other board decisions. They have counsel for every meeting. I don't know as we want counsel for every meeting, but if we have a need for specific advice on an issue, it's very important that we have someone available that we can discuss, they can do the research, and we can get a response. So I'm certainly in favor of having that.
Resolutions and letters.
Yeah.
What's that?
They can write resolutions.
Yes, they can do such things, yeah. And I think that, I don't know what the figure would be. The retainer might be nice, and of course then it might roll over into an hourly rate. But whatever it might be, I think in the budget it should be adequate to cover that,
Yes.
at least for one or two times.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking in doing that. I just got to get, again, the account line added to our accounts. And then the other two things that are expansion requests that I would like to propose to the admin and commissioners is one, revisiting that election worker pay increase. I know last time we were kind of between 10 and $12.50. In talking with Brent and Commissioner McCoy, what I would suggest is a $15 increase, especially because they did not get one this last year. Hopefully that would help encourage more people to work. And what I would also like to see about doing is kind of, I gotta write it before I forget it, is also include maybe some sort of bonus or something for election workers that work on election
I
day.
think that's a great idea.
Because we saw this last election where we had people, I mean, early voting is not hard to staff. Everybody wants to work early voting. And then election day, it's just one day. It's the similar pay. It's a little bit longer. So barbecue is where we had that issue where people just did not show up. We don't really have the poll workers, the number that we would like to have to say, okay, well, we have like 10 people just waiting. We don't have that option. If you sign up, you work. At the same time, we also can't say, oh, well, you know, we're going to fire all of you because we don't have anybody to replace them with. But I feel like if there was some incentive to working election day, that maybe we would not have as many issues with people not showing on that day.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Something like a $50 bonus or something for work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Yeah.
We do need that.
I still think my idea of letting people work half shifts. I know that you were not for that, but I think people might show up. It's just such a long day, and especially for older people. You know, I just think it's too long for some of them.
Yeah.
Is that mandated by the regulation?
So, like as far as the judges go, the judges have to serve the whole day because they're the ones opening and they're the ones that are accountable for the day.
Okay.
So they have to be in and out. When it comes to the assistants, we do have a little bit more flexibility with doing the part-time. The only reason we haven't really allowed or done part-time is just because we don't have the staff to rotate. So if you have 100 people that work all day and then they all want to do part-time, you need 200 people, you know, to split it out. So it's just a matter of recruiting. And I think if we had the people to do it, it is possible that we could do that.
But we might get more people.
Yeah,
what
that's
I'm saying.
true.
Like, I think that somebody that's in their 70s is going to be like, I can't be there for 12 hours. You know, I just think that more people might be willing to help us if they
could just do a part-time hour.
Right. My other question is, somebody brought this up at one of the things, is can we give people the option not to get paid?
Unfortunately, we can't. We had this issue come up several years back where people did not want to get paid, so we did not pay them, and then a year or two later they came back and said, oh yeah, I want to get paid for that. And so just to avoid any kind of conflicts, the finance department at that time recommended we just, it's not even an option.
Okay.
Now, for people who are on retirement or the other, I know that was the situation with the one person, they can work election and it not affect their retirement if they only work so many hours. If they work every day of early voting and election day, that's going to bump them out of that bracket. So they would just have to be cautious of.
They could just work election.
They could just work election day.
Well, that would be another reason for the splitting the shift. 6 hours instead of 12. So they can adjust that.
Yeah, so that's certainly something we can look into and address it. But I wanted to make sure you guys were on board with that pay increase and then possibly, I was going to ask for a number, but is a $50 bonus something that you guys would support?
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's just for showing up on election day.
They got work too.
Yeah, they gotta work and show up, okay.
A full day.
Yeah, full day. And then the other extension request that I wanted to discuss is possibly asking if we can get a new position. It would be an election outreach specialist. Because of the fact that we do have so much changes, we really want to bump up our outreach and our advertising. And I just would like to have one person that is just, this is their job. Especially because with outreach, it requires a lot of weeknights, a lot of weekends. And so it's hard to have staff work Monday through Friday during the week and then expect them to work nights and weekends. It's easy to get burned out. Will we get it? But I would like to get the board's approval
Start the
to.
process like we did for the other.
Yeah.
You don't get it if you don't ask.
Yes. So those are basically covering everything that is on this page, and then of course a few things that I want to add in there. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, we were thinking about making this move over to the other side of the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, although they have security cameras, they told us, I am concerned about some way of signaling authorities because it's very remote, it's in a secluded area, and I'm concerned about the safety of the staff. So if that requires a budget item, I want to add that in.
Okay, yeah.
We didn't have breaking.
Yeah, we're going to do a walkthrough actually tomorrow with IT. Shannon and I will go over there, and they have a company that's going to come through and do some extra security to the doors, the key cards and stuff. So we're going to walk through the building tomorrow to see what's actually needed now. But definitely, yes, once we get over there and get situated, we'll probably see more things that we need to add or address.
Including maybe a panic button.
Yeah.
Well, an alarm system, is there an alarm?
There is an alarm system there, but they don't, there's an alarm system, but they don't have a panic button. But I can certainly look into that tomorrow when we're meeting with IT and them.
So we're good on that, right? So I would like to continue to incorporate something for pickup work. I think it was nice, the event we had after the election. I'm not saying every election we need to have it, but for big ones, we really need to have grounds on the booth. We need to kind of incorporate in our budget so that we can, and even the smaller elections, something just, if it's nothing more than a cupcake, to have a gathering to say thank you for supporting us and yada, yada, yada.
So I have budgeted for, so those little buttons we gave them for working this last election, we do plan on having that for every election.
Okay.
So even after the municipals, I mean, we're not gonna have a full number of workers, so doing an appreciation event may be too
I'm not
much.
talking that.
But we will still have the little pins so that every election they work, they have the pins.
But just to continue to incorporate that, because that was nice, and I think people really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think so
And we
too.
had a full room
Mhm.
on the way back.
We did, so I agree with that. All right, is everybody okay with what I presented? Can I get a motion to approve the budget so I can let family know that I'm almost done?
I so
Okay.
The second.
All in favor, or we missed one?
Mr. Bell, are you in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Bell? You went to sleep.
I hear him knocking. Can't get there.
Mr. Bell? Lewis?
I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here.
Are you approved the budget?
I didn't see it, but I heard some of it was a little blurred. I'd like to be to view it. When's the deadline to have it submitted?
They want it this month.
They want it this month?
Yeah.
Did you email it to him? Did you email it?
I'll resend it to you.
Okay.
And what we can do is go ahead, if Betsy's good with it, we can approve it, and then if there's any changes, I can still make changes.
Yeah.
So after Mr. Bell sees it, if there's something we need to change, we can change. So we have a motion and a second to approve the budget.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right.
All right. All right, so what do we have next? All right, yeah, so that is everything I have for business, so unless there's something else you want to discuss, we do have a need for closed session.
I move that we go into closed session.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we are back in open session. Was there any other discussion that the board would like to have before we adjourn?
No, ma'am.
Okay?
Wait, I want to say something clarification, okay? Concerning the meeting with, county manager, when, we first came on board, Allison and I, wanted to, meet with him or the chair to introduce each other, get Allison being the chair, and Alan manager. I went along to accomplish her at the first introduction meeting, and it was nothing, nothing drastic, nothing, earth-shaking or things to discuss when, how often we would meet. That was it, kind of introduction. But
No, it was a quarterly meeting on the
I had met with him then because I got several, ones I could not make, could not attend. Then I started getting, that the manager could not meet with me, did not meet with us. I said, come on the wayside. Any other subsequent meetings other than that, I have not been privy to, not involved with that. Have been.
Okay, we fixed that.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, there's a motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Second.
I was,
All right, we are adjourned at 7:03.
Aye.